Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. On the Edge with April Mahoney. How are you today, Brains? You're back at the spot, the place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. We're going to Kentucky, down south here in the United States. Beautiful place. I've always wanted to visit Kentucky, that part of the country. We are going to be with Jill Lien, certified clinical hypnotherapist, master relationship and life and wellness coach, hypnosis instructor, author, and a great human being. We're going to talk about some very touching, trying issues that people have. Trauma. All of us have experienced some sort of trauma. Are you kidding me? When you came out of the womb, it was traumatic. Well, the first thing they did was slap your bottom and suck the mucus out of your nose. And it just got progressively worse or different from that point moving forward. But also the challenges that we face in life, and especially with our young people. Teen suicide. What can we do to help offboard that? I was telling Jill in the green room when I first met her that young people now have a therapist like they have a dentist on call. After COVID, everything shifted. I don't know, it didn't impact me that much. I guess because I like my solitude, I like my place, but just being there, being inside, parents not being able to connect. They didn't realize how disconnected they were. Young people not being able to get out and socialize. People that were having some sort of addiction problem, not being able to get to their groups and their counseling. And then, when we came out of it, people just went awry. Instead of coming closer, it seemed like they spread further apart. So we're going to talk to her about a healing and a whole lot more. Let's welcome her to the show. How are you, Jill?
Hello, I'm so pleased to be here with you today. And thank you, Brains, for watching.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to get down and dirty. Tell my Brains a little bit about you and how you show up in the world.
Oh, my goodness. My passion is families. In particular teens, because of my own childhood, own childhood experiences. COVID was very, very difficult indeed for children, actually, of all developmental ages. It's not just the kids that didn't get to have the graduation at 18 that they dreamt of for, their whole education. It's also the children that should have been starting kindergarten, year 1, year 2, because quite a few of them became non-verbal because of the masks.
Oh, wow.
And they have some quite some of them, not all of them, of course, but some of them have got some interesting developmental problems because they find it difficult to read emotion. That the masks, when they were at a very critical neurological development time in their lives, just completely stopped their development there. And of course, the other thing is, during COVID, all the kids turned to screens.
They turned to screens, and then, some of them were mandated to take the injection to go to school along with their teachers. And then other parents said, nope, I'm not going to do that. So there was a tug of war back there. We don't know what the results of that are to this day.
Yes, and it'll go on and on. I think we're discovering more every day of how it's manifesting in different kinds of ways. Right. And as you say, the parents that were mandated to either take the shot or lose their jobs,
right,
that had massive impact on families and resentment, and and it caused things we could never have thought about. When I studied the neurological development of children, this was not a topic. The very thought of having a pandemic that would have that kind of effect.
I know.
So we've learned as we've gone, really.
So how'd you find yourself in the space? What encouraged you to be a psychotherapist?
It was my upbringing. I think almost anyone who goes into that arena, they want to help other people develop tools they wish they'd had, or be the person they wish they had had access to, or to be able to access the education. Because certainly when I was growing up, which was a very long time ago, before the internet and so on and so forth, we were just told to just get on with it. You know, there was
Right.
no recognition of depression, anxiety, even exam nerves. You're just told to just, you know, get a grip.
Hmm.
And that's easy. That's easier said than done because we all come from different childhoods, upbringing, different levels of nurture, different environments. So my passion comes from wanting to be the person that I wished I'd had, really. I suppose that sounds quite selfish, doesn't it?
No, and you know what? And if it's okay, it's okay to be selfish because people give that a bad rap. And I love some of me. I'll take an extra scoop sometime. Absolutely. Because that's it's finding the value in the little things. It
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
have to be grandiose, but just the fact that you communicate, you make friends, you understand what love is, you share love, you are selfless, you're not greedy, pouring yourself into other individuals. You have someone that really poured their self into you. You told me that you were raised by a nanny for 3 years. Um,
Yes.
we call okay, having a nanny is a 24-hour surrogate mother type of thing
Mhm.
versus a babysitter. Because, here when we use the word nanny, she still comes in, she watches the kids, she does whatever, and then 5 o'clock she's off. So
Yeah.
tell us what it's like to have a full on 24-hour surrogate mother.
Yes, it was a bit different actually to the normal sort of Mary Poppins idea. Um, Entirely different. So I was born in 1959, which sounds like a long time ago because it is. And my father was in the Royal Air Force and he was posted to Hong Kong. And he and my mother had just got married. I was born 9 months to the day actually after their wedding. Now they were 21. And when they went to Hong Kong, people didn't even go to Europe from England for their holidays, you know. So
Right.
to go to Hong Kong was a dramatically exciting and extraordinary thing. And I'm sure they had so many plans of things they would do, and a baby was not part of the plan.
Mm,
So the armed forces will often, when you're serving overseas, will provide some childcare. And what happened was that my parents hired a beautiful young Chinese woman called Ying, and she raised me until I was 3. So I ate with chopsticks before a fork.
mm.
But I felt loved. My parents, I think, in fact, I know they were young. We have to remember we're very quick to blame our parents for things, aren't we? But then we think, oh my gosh, they were 21. That's like, that's young. That's young to be parents, and they perhaps didn't have the best examples in their own parents, but
Mhm.
they certainly did not welcome my arrival. But I was blessed because I had a Ying and a Ying. So I would stay at a Ying's house. I had blonde, curly, white blonde hair. And back in 1959, 1960, I guess, I don't think there were very many, I don't know how many people were serving in Hong Kong back then that weren't, local, if you like. But she spoiled me and she loved me and she made me feel important. And yeah, she guided me, her and her family, actually, because I remember her parents as well.
See, that's a beautiful thing that she has such an impact at your formative years, 1 to 3. A lot of times people don't remember that. I remember things that have happened to me too. And as we progress in life, we always revert back to our childhood.
Yeah, we
That
do.
is our fundamental foundation. When people go through deep intensive therapy, they always want to do the inner child work
Yeah,
or the shadow work. They want to go back and reframe, readdress, or address or undress situations that occurred. When you became more familiar with your biological parents, do you remember a struggle or a transition or a learning curve?
I do. And you're right about memory. With functional memory, we can usually remember back to about 3.5 or 4 years old. But experiences that happen before that have a lasting impact, even though we can't remember them. It's part of our formation, if you like. What happened then, of course, was at the end of my father's term there, we returned to the UK. And I was three and a bit. I wasn't very old, maybe 3.5. And so I had no idea where my mom, Yi Ying, had gone. Suddenly I was just with these two people that really didn't particularly enjoy my company, I think. And I don't know, maybe I was difficult. There's no excuse really. But the grief, I remember the grief because she just disappeared. That suddenly I was somewhere else in snow. I remember the snow. We came back in the winter because it was snowing, and I thought that was pretty neat. I'd never seen that before. But of course, at that age, I couldn't understand what had happened. And children, we tend to blame ourselves in order to take control of a situation and normalize it. So usually a person at that age would think they'd done something wrong, that they had been rejected, I suppose. Whether I did or not, I don't know. I have no doubt that what my parents went through with me, crying and mourning and grieving for someone who wasn't my parents, I suspect that must have hurt their feelings. But I remember how difficult it was, and I didn't really fit in.
Do you have other siblings?
I have a sister who is almost 4 years younger than me. So she was born in Hong Kong just before we headed back to the UK.
Do you find that she seemed to be a little bit more well adjusted?
That's a really good question, isn't it? Because she was planned for and wanted. I think she was just different. We were never close. I desperately wanted to be close with her, but she was very close with my parents. We have to be careful, and I've seen this in many families over the years, is that we can stigmatize a child. The reason the family's having a problem is because that child's got behavioral problems, and that's kind of like scapegoating, and it's not good. And I think that I was blamed a lot for a lot of things, and I think she kind of just went with the flow. So I was the problem child in the
And she
household.
got to fly under the radar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think you're perfect.
You
And I know in my world that God makes no mistakes. And you would not be the woman that you are today without the experiences that you had back then.
you can't change a thing.
You wouldn't be able to identify, recognize, and help others work through the challenges, be it on the parent side or on the child side, without having that lived experience. So I give you your flowers right now because,
You,
again, you got to get in and do the work. A lot of times people think, oh, I'll go to therapy, or, I'll do ayahuasca because, they're doing a lot of that now. Or I will, write a book, whatever, and magically it'll disappear. We learn to adjust. We learn to settle in. Things never go away. But what's the problem is when they're not identified or when they are addressed or ignored in the wrong way. You work with young people that are having suicidal ideology, or yeah, and that's it's not committed suicide anymore. Brains. The politically correct term is die by suicide because nobody plans to do this, but they're in such a dark place. Give us one of your success stories.
oh my gosh, you know what? I'm so blessed because I have not lost a suicidal teen in my whole career. So,
Yay.
and I pray that that continues and that it's not going to be one day is too late. But so I've got lots, and I absolutely love, and I'm still in touch with pretty much everyone I've ever worked with. So, and that's a blessing. Um, gosh, I'm trying to think. I'm just trying to think of one. So I'll think of one. And so one that I started work with January of last year. I remember him coming. He had been found with a gun in his hand. So his parents had caught him just in time. It was that's yeah. It's not like some other methods where you can intervene. A bullet is, you
Right.
know,
Right.
yeah. Anyhow, I remember his mom brought him to my office, and as he walked in, he said, "Oh, I suppose you do essential oils as well, do you?" He clearly didn't. And I said, "Actually, yes, I do. Do you have a favorite?" So anyway, so down he sits. Obviously, he'd been very serious. I mean, he'd written the notes, and he discovered he had thought how to do it, when to do it. You know, he had the whole plan in place, which is a real, I mean, gosh, that's all the red flags, isn't it? And I tend to be very direct. I don't patronize these young people. I prefer, let's just, and we have a truth only basis. So in that room, I mean, and generally anyway, but and so I will say, if you don't want to talk about it, just say it's not a, just say whatever you want to say. Don't try and make me happy, and don't try and fob me off. Okay. And I will do the same for you. So I asked him, Bill, why? Why? You're a wonderful young man with your whole life ahead of you. Goodness gracious. What's going on? And he said, quote unquote, it's the only way out of this bullshit. Sorry, brains, but that's
No,
that.
that's fine.
And that really, I've worked with quite a lot of people with suicidal ideation, not just teens, actually, for all kinds of different reasons, but specifically within teens. It's that sense of being trapped, that there actually isn't an alternative. There's no other way that isn't more painful. And he also said, I know that I'm the problem in my family. I know that. And so by me not being there, they might be sad for a bit, but everyone else will be happy in the end.
Wow.
Mm. He's doing really well now. He continues to do well. In fact, he's wonderfully, fabulously, obnoxiously confident, as he should be. I love it. So
Mm.
he's, yeah.
What was the aha moment for the parents?
I think it's when they understand what's really going on. I'm very logical. And when I was suicidal myself years ago, I was like 16, and I had got everything in lined up myself, because I decided that I felt like there was no place for me in the world. And I don't want to sort of bang on too much on the negative side of that. But what I didn't understand at the time was that my brain was barely formed, really. Our brains form until we're 25. And so the a great thrust of my work is education. It's neuroeducation for both the young person, whether they're 5 actually, or 25, but mostly the parents, because more and more we adultize, if you like, our children. We expect them to be capable of far more self-regulation than they can be. So when I was suicidal at 16, I was coming from a very underdeveloped brain, just neurologically. And so, and at that age, it's all about emotion, isn't it? It's all about emotion. And it's not about reason. It's not about and the logic center really hadn't developed very well at all. So when, to me as a logical person, but also it works very well with the people that I work with, when they understand the appropriate level of neurological development that each of their children are at, and what then is the appropriate expectation from them at that point, and they learn the language with which to communicate with the child and the signs to look out for, when these things are there. So that's a lot about education, isn't it?
Right, absolutely.
Then we are armed, and we can spot the signs earlier. We can understand that it's not a criticism of us as parents, because a lot of parents, when they struggle with their their children, especially their teens, they see it as a criticism. And we've heard it. Oh my gosh, why can't you just be like, I don't know, Derek down the road? He doesn't do this, that, and the other. That's not,
And you
yes,
don't
we need to stop that
realize
language.
how vulnerable your child actually is, how tender they are. We want them to be tough like we were.
Yes.
I mean, you went through what you went through, and then at 16, you reached a point where, you know, it got a little bit more intense. But at that point, your parents are figuring, you know, Jill's tough. She'll make it. She's all right. She's just rebellious, this, that, and the other, but not really realizing. I know kids don't come with instructions.
I
I've
know.
got I've got a daughter that's 37 years old, and she still says things that wow me. And I don't realize sometimes because, I'm a full container. I'm a big personality. And I'm like you. I'm a straight shooter. I'm gonna give it to you,
Yeah.
with no chaser. But I have to realize that everybody is not able to process that. So what I have even done, even as her being a mature woman, have dialed back and said, you know what? Let me pick another set of words. Let me pick another time to have this conversation. Let me, off
Yeah.
board. She did something a few months ago. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to react like she thinks I'm going to react. I'm going to react in a totally different way, something that is totally out of the norm for me.
Brilliant.
And the reaction that I got was like, it's now a lasting impression. What she's, it was amazing. And I was like,
That's
okay, you have to have a strategy. That's even with disciplining children. Now I don't know if your parents whacked you, but my parents whacked me on the bottom a couple times. I think I only got it maybe 3 good times in life. But trust me, you got my mind right. I never wanted to get it again. But corporal punishment is not the way to do it. But we have to have a psychology, a strategy to be able to work with these children because they will get out of hand. And I'm not one of those that is going to let a child rule me. I'm not going to do it. There's a balancing act there.
Yes, yes, yes. And when parents say, well, they're being so challenging, I say it's in their job description.
Right.
Let's look at your job description.
Absolutely. And so how are you as a parent going to handle that? Are you going to fly off the handle? Are you going to meet them? You can't meet me at the same place. Okay. Somebody's at a lower frequency. Somebody's at a lower vibration. What do I need to do? Do I need to dial down? And it's okay. Just because you're the parent, you don't have to, always be right, but you need to be an effective, good listener. These children will tell you everything you need to know, even if it's in silence.
Yeah,
I've got a bunch of great guests that work with children with art therapy.
I
If
love
you look
that.
at, if you look at their drawings, if you read their stories, they're telling you exactly what's going on in that little brain of theirs.
They are.
You know,
And our children constantly sync their nervous system constantly syncs with ours.
mm,
It's all obviously invisible, but so they notice everything. And if we're carrying trauma from our past or even from our present, they will pick it up. They will pick it up, and they can't help it. And so I think that it's very important for us to do our own work um, in order to be the parent, actually to be the grown up in the relationship, because
right.
there are situations sometimes where the children end up parenting the parents, and in situations like where there's been addiction, or perhaps there's been a bereavement in the family, or gosh, life comes in many different forms.
Divorce.
Yeah.
That's a biggie
Oh,
because not only does a child sometimes onboard that and think that it's their fault or their responsibility, but the manipulation of the two parents, of wanting the child to like them more than the other, or at odds because they have a step parent or they have the parent is dating. So just be careful about what you say. Work with a trained professional like Jill that has not only lived some life experiences, overcome, spent her life, her money, educating herself, but in addition to that, writing books. Tell us a little bit about your literary library because you have quite a collection there.
You know, I never want money to be to stand between someone and understanding and knowledge and learning. And so there are lots of families that go through all kinds of things and they don't seek any kind of therapy because they feel like they can't afford it. So that's why I wrote the books. So that in that way, then they can educate themselves, take advantage of my experience, if you like, for I think $15, $16. So I don't think money should ever be a barrier to people accessing the information that they need to help their child. May I, if I have a moment, I'd like to share with you and your brains something that
Yes,
happened just this week. Would that be okay? This is
absolutely.
this is about divorce. So I was speaking with a 6-year-old girl on Zoom who is just the sweetest thing. And so we did some hypnosis and some guided visualization stuff because with the younger ones, they need that kind of like first. And then I asked her about her parents' divorce and how it's 18 months ago. How is she feeling about the two house thing and so on? And she suddenly went quiet and she said, it's my fault, you know. And she'd never said this to me before. And my heart broke just a little bit. Anyway, she said, I know exactly when it happened. And I thought, you're six.
Mm.
Six. She said, my mom and dad asked me to tidy my room and I didn't have anything on my feet. And I was afraid that, that a spider might bite me on the foot. So I didn't do it. And then later that night, I could hear them shouting. And that was 18 months ago. So she was, gosh, I don't know, 4.5. My heart broke
Mm.
because she has carried this true belief in her mind that she caused it with this thing. Our children, bless their sweethearts. Anyway, she doesn't believe that now. Thank the Lord that
Right,
she had the
right.
ability to, express that. But children, yes. So I'm so sorry. I went off on a tangent because that really affected me
No,
this week.
well, and that's very important because it was very simplistic. It wasn't like she had got a spanking or she caught her parents doing, something or whatever, And the littlest things can traumatize. I know my daughter caught me and my husband canoodling. We've been married 41 years and we like to touch and all this kind of stuff. And she looked at me and she goes, oh my God, I need therapy. And I said, well, you know what? Love is a very splendid thing. And you need to show that. And you need to have open conversations and honest conversations with your children. It's like when they go through a divorce, uh, the kid is there when mom's not there or when dad's not there. They know what's going on. They try to shield them from adult situations. They're going to be an adult. You have to speak to it in their language,
Yes.
in the language that they understand, but you have to let them know that it's not your fault. This is something between adults. This is something between me and dad. We still love you. Or I have run into situations to where now, more than in the past, mothers are having the fathers raise the children. Normally the social norm has always been that the child
Yeah.
go with the mother. Now they're going with the father. And the child is saying, okay, why am I being rejected by my mother? Sometimes because you've given birth doesn't mean you can handle the child. It's a lot of responsibility and owning it and identifying and communicating it. Communication is so difficult now. Give us some suggestions on what's the best way to tap into to people to, number one, be seen, be heard, and be a good listener.
I'm a big fan of family meetings. And coming back to your point about communication, we don't even eat at the same time as each other anymore. Everyone's flying out here, there, and everywhere. And even if they're at the same table, they quite often will be, one of them will be on Facebook or taking a picture of their food, you
Right,
know,
right,
all
right,
things.
right.
So part of the work that I do with families is I encourage weekly family meetings at which they talk about all of this. And so I work individually with family members to teach them how to listen. So there's lots of fun things we can do with that. You know, we've got the silly hat thing. So only the person wearing the hat's allowed to speak. And there's like an egg timer, you know, that can be so much fun because quite often in the beginning, I will be at the family meeting and they'll be saying, give me that hat. And I'll be like, hey, now then.
Right, right. Not your turn. You have to wait.
That's not what this is about. So, learning how to communicate, learning how to listen, and not just wait for the next gap for you to speak,
Right.
you know, that sort of thing. But planning time together, planning family dates, and I mean including divorced couples. They still need to be able to communicate, to co-parent without the children getting caught in the crossfire.
Mhm.
And family meetings really do help that. The other thing I use play as well. I've got some soft foam balls which I always give to my families for snowball fights, you know. You know,
Mm.
let's make some happy memories.
Right.
Let's and they take it in turns to do the monthly date night. So you can have a 3-year-old, it might be their turn. What do they want to
Right.
do as a family once a month? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But also too, yeah, and I get the family time, but also individual
yes.
experiences. You may have
Uh-huh.
3 kids. Uh,
Yes.
my
Yeah.
grand, I call them my grand buddies. My grand buddies, it's 3 of them, and the middle child has a tendency to act out. I tell him, I say, when you're with me, we don't cry. We use our words. I'm not putting up with that. You're a big boy,
Yeah.
you know, but he's not feeling, I think, and what I observe, the individual nurturing. They're all lumped together. You know, the older brother, the little sister, you know, the little girl's always getting, you know, daddy's love and
Yes.
cute dresses and all that, but he's feeling left out. I said, so why don't you do, some due diligence, carve out time just
Yeah.
for him to let him know that he's special and that his thoughts and his feelings matter outside of everybody else. He needs that extra attention.
Absolutely. The one-to-one is really, really essential. And yes, absolutely. You're incredibly wise. Because each of us has an individual relationship with each of our parents and our
Right.
siblings. And it's really from our families that we learn what the world looks like and what good relationships look like and what bad relationships look like and everything in between. And so it's very important.
I think it
Every
helps parents
individual.
to form a real life expectation of what each individual child brings to the table.
Yes.
Oh, you're just like parents are always saying, oh, you're just like your brother, you're just like your father. Well, I don't want to be a carbon copy of anybody. I want to be unique. I want to be an individual. And there are things that I do different. I may look like my dad, but I'm not my dad. I may uh, act like my brother, but I'm not the athlete that my brother is. I'm the musician. So when parents carve out that time,
Yes.
they really are able to analyze and pour into that child what they need. So, do you have children?
I do.
How
I
many
do.
children do you have?
I have three. I have a
Oh,
daughter of 44. I've got a daughter of 34, and I had a son who unfortunately drowned when he was 19.
oh,
So Russell's been gone for a little while now, but I feel him around me.
oh yeah, that spirit is intense. How did that impact you with the 2 girls? Just they're 2 females, but they're 2 different personalities. How was
Yeah.
that growing up, raising them?
Um, at the time, it was difficult because, and I think a lot of families experience this when they lose someone close to them. Um, because I was parenting my daughters because Russell was a little bit younger than Kate and a little bit older than Sammy. So we're in the middle there. And so you, as a parent, you tend to you want to support them so they don't necessarily see your grief. And so the whole grieving process can be difficult in its progression. And so that's a particular area that I actually focus on because obviously I've experienced it. Not that you have to experience everything to empathize with other people. Um, I I just love them so much. But when I look back at that period of time, that was very difficult for everybody. And at the time, and I sought outside help at the time. That's the other thing. People think we've got it all nailed down, don't they? When we've got all the training in psychology and we've done grief therapy and we've done all of this. But it's like trying to tickle yourself.
Right,
It
right,
doesn't work. You
right,
know how to do it, but it doesn't tickle. You don't laugh. And so even though I know the strategies and the techniques and I know what a therapist was doing and what they were hoping to get out of it, it's very important, I think, to work with somebody else. No
right.
matter, I mean, dentists don't do their own teeth, but I think that's because they can't reach.
But you got to offboard that, and you want someone that is going to come that is objective.
Yes.
You know, want
Yeah.
someone that's going to coddle you, or oh, Jill. Well, honey, it's going to be all right. You need somebody that's going to ask you the tough questions.
Yes.
Deep dive that's going to challenge you, but also instill you with the armor to fight the fight, the good fight.
And that's right. It's the tools, because the tools are what it's all about. Learning, understanding why you're feeling that way, how to shift your feelings, understanding how to shift somebody else's feelings, what you described earlier on, as I'm sure other brains noticed as well, was that was a pattern interrupt. So there was an expectation of how you would respond to a situation that's gone, cycled through before, and you went, not this time. And the
Oh,
result was, oh,
yeah, and I'm telling you, I was shocked. I was impressed with me. I was like, well, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. So because again, didn't know what to expect.
no,
Didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew that if I came with a different approach, I was going
yeah,
to get a different response. And now it's absolutely wonderful.
I
And it
love it.
works. She's 37 brains and it works. I can't go into too much detail because it might backfire on me. But but for the most part, change up your strategy. It's
Yes,
like in a relationship with your partner. You don't always have to argue. Sometimes just be quiet. And they can't the silence is deafening. Instead
yeah,
of always jaw jacking, are you talking to be impactful and to make a difference, or are you talking to be heard, or are you talking to hear yourself talk? You have to really feel it,
yeah,
understand your intention when you go through these processes.
yeah,
Let's ask you some fun questions, Jill. Do you have any of your books there with you?
I do.
Let's see. Can you put them up
I can.
so
Let's see.
so they can see? So, Jill, you are the author of how many books?
Oh, one, two, three, four. There's another one nearly finished, and a war book, which has nothing to do with any of these things.
Okay, well, that's good. We're going to put the link to these
Thank you.
books on Amazon and also in the show notes because I want people to
Thank you.
take the time to read again. Number one, how about that? It stimulates and activates your brain.
It does. It's a different part of your brain that's
It's a different
activated.
part of your brain. And I have gotten a little lazy because I edit and then I will listen to an audiobook. But listening to the audiobook, I'll take notes, but there's nothing like turning the page. There's nothing like trying to sound out these words sometimes.
Great. I
it's
agree.
it's trying to go where the author wants to take you. And just sometimes after you've read something, because I'll do that with the audiobook. I said, okay, I've processed a lot. let me just stop. Let me go over my notes. Let me read my notes again before I start the next chapter. It's a part of the educational process. You remember you did that when you were in school. It's called studying your craft. So I want to ask you some fun questions about you.
Yes.
If you could be an animal,
Ooh.
what animal would you be and why?
I think I'd be a parakeet
Hmm.
because they're brilliantly colored and they can, we've got some next door. They bark like dogs, they cluck like chickens.
Oh,
They tell
wow.
the dogs off. They tell me to go away. I love it. I think they're
Yeah,
really mischievous. But you get away with it when you're a parakeet because you're gorgeous.
that's cute. I've never had a person that want to be a parakeet. When they want to be a bird, they would say more of an eagle. They
Oh,
would want to be a hawk. They want to be something that's overwhelming and domineering. But parakeets they're cute and they are sweet. That's good. I opt to be an elephant
why?
because I like how they travel in prides.
Oh,
I like how
yes.
they're kind of slow moving. They never forget. They're great parents.
Oh, yes.
I got to visit the elephant sanctuary in Thailand. And let me tell you, I had a conversation. That's my spirit animal. But I had a conversation with her just by looking in her eyes. I knew exactly what she was feeling, the wisdom. It was just an amazing, amazing experience. I'd be an elephant. If you were an appliance in the kitchen, what appliance would you be?
Mm. Oh my gosh, that's a good question, isn't it? What would I be? I'd probably be an implement rather than an appliance because
Oh,
appliances rely on power. There's lots of working parts, right? A wooden spoon can't get it wrong. So a wooden spoon is useful in many different situations, and if you get a power out, it'll still stir.
wow. Okay. I would be the garbage can.
Oh, yes, very important. Getting rid of all the stuff we don't want around us.
Absolutely. That no longer serve you. And it's also a place that you can recycle.
I like that.
So that's good. If you could time travel, go back to the past, stay here in the present, project to the future, where you find yourself landing.
Oh my gosh. So many. I'd want to do so many. When I do hypnosis, I allow my client to go forwards and backwards through time. I think I would like to go forwards 3 generations and just look at what my family has evolved into and how many of the traditions have remained and just love on them, I think.
Can
I
we
don't,
encourage people to stay here in the present? That's
yeah.
all that we really have.
We only have right now. We don't
All we
have
have is right
anything
now.
else.
All we don't
But
have.
now everything is possible. This very second, everything is possible. Whatever we decide to do next can change the entire rest of our lives and those around us in positive or less positive ways. So we have
In
to
a
own them.
nanosecond.
Sure.
In
Yeah.
a nanosecond.
Yes.
If you could go back and have a conversation with a 25-year-old Jill Lien, what would you say to her?
I'd say keep doing what you're doing because by 25, I knew what I wanted to do. And I was grateful. And at 25, I was wise enough or self-aware enough to realize that every single thing that had happened was for my benefit.
Right. That life was not happening to you, but it was happening for you.
Yes, absolutely.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Um, if you were a flower in the garden, what flower would you be?
A rose, because I'm English. I think that's probably it. But also roses are so fragrant, aren't they? But a bit thorny. So never think you know where you are with a rose.
I normally like to be a tulip, but yesterday I went into the Trader Joe's. Shout out to Trader Joe's. And I bought gladiolas.
They're fantastic.
I
Oh,
love
actually, you are a gladiolite. That's what you are.
I'm a gladiola.
Magnificent.
I love gladiolas. It just something about them, how they
Yeah.
grow and the color in them.
And the flowers, all the flowers, they just keep flowering. I mean, they're beautiful.
They do. They do. And in closing, Jill, what do you want your legacy to be? How do you want to be remembered?
As someone that helped, as someone that shone some light into the darkness of someone's life, or their ability to deal with life. Hope, it gave hope. Yeah, light. I just want to help families. That's it. If I could work my whole life and only ever manage to help one family, that would be enough. I'm blessed because I have worked with hundreds and probably thousands of families now. And yeah, just to make a difference, just to make a difference.
Well, that's the important thing, is that we impact people's lives in a positive way. There's so much kerfuffle and ugliness going on in the world, self-induced a lot of times.
Yeah.
But there is joy, there is love, there's smiles, there are things to be grateful for. That gratitude journal, I'm telling you, will take you to the next level.
Oh, yes, I've made lots of journals
I've made
with
my
intention.
journals, and I have a list. And I look at that list and I read that list and I'll add something to it. What I am grateful for, if it's nothing but air condition.
Yeah, aren't we all? But yes, absolutely. Let's live every day with intention. And so I've created a number of journals specifically for teens or students or, and completely across the board, because it's very important that every single morning that the Lord blesses us or the world blesses us, that we wake up and there's the sun in the sky. Don't waste it. Set your intention. Be grateful that you have it and decide how you're going to impact positively on somebody else that day. Decide right at the beginning of the day, I will smile at everyone I meet. I will be grateful for all that I've got, because it sets the tone for the day, and that way is all bountiful.
And I heard something else wonderful too, that in the event that you are having thoughts of suicide, give yourself 30 minutes of pause.
Yes.
Just pause. Don't overthink it. Don't underthink it. Don't listen to this. Don't do that. Just give yourself time to breathe and pause. And it could make all the difference.
Yes. Yes. And that is, oh my gosh, that wisdom. Because a lot of people go straight to, I shouldn't feel like this. I've got everything. Why am I? So suddenly it's blame, 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 blame.
Right.
That's it. Pause.
There's no
think,
purpose. Just pause.
Step back.
I know I had a situation to where in my meditation, and I'm dealing with the city here. That's a constant struggle. But God told me to just surrender. I said, I'm a Leo. I don't surrender. I'm a soldier. I don't surrender. But you know what I did? Surrender doesn't mean give up. And when I surrendered, everything is coming to fruition. So you don't always have to fight the fight. Sometimes you just have to sit and be still, and it will work itself out. So I encourage that. Tell my brains how to get in contact with you, Jill. I'd love for them to purchase the books. We're going to put all that information in the interview. We're going to run this interview over and over again on all the different platforms. But I want them to reach out and touch you, have a conversation. Again, she's in Kentucky. Say Kentucky for us one time.
Kentucky.
Kentucky. I love how she says that. It is so wonderful. She's there and she just bought a beautiful home. I saw the picture of it that you're restoring, and you're living your best life. So tell us how we can share in that with you.
Oh my gosh, contact me. I think you're going to post things like emails and the website, or give me a call. And if you just want to talk, to get an idea of how to approach perhaps a specific problem, just sort it out. I will be delighted to talk with anyone. I prepared a document for you, your lovely brains, called Understanding, I've got it here, that's why I'm looking down. Understanding Your Child's Developing Brain, a Parent's Guide to Realistic Expectations. And And it's just a few pages, but it helps you to understand what's developing, what the child is capable. And I realize this is an average, and I realize that there are children with slower developmental issues or previous trauma. I get that, but at least it's a starting point. So anything I can do to help anybody understand their children better or themselves better, please reach out, give me a call, or drop me an email. I will
Please,
always get back to you.
please do, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Oh, yes.
And so we have so much to live for, so much to look forward to. Great relationships. If they understand you and you understand them, then they know how to deal with each other. You know how to come up with a strategy. Parents, think, come up with a different type of deal. I had a different situation with a bunch of teenagers I was working with at
Oh,
a youth center. Ooh, and they were challenging. Yes, they were. Smart mouth and all that kind of stuff. I said, okay, well, I'm not going to match you word for word. What I did was I took them out to El Centro and made them work in the field, and it was all onions. They couldn't rub their eyes, they couldn't scratch their nose, they didn't have their cell phones, and they were out there with the workers, and the workers had a radio attached to their hip, and they were doing a mariachi dance. They learned culture. They packed those onions. Let me tell you, Jill, they love Miss April. It's a strategy. It's a strategy. So you don't always have to put your hands on them. You don't have to be mouthy. But I have a philosophy. I can show you better than I can tell you. And that's what we do here on the edge. We do show and tell.
I
Thank you
love
so much. So go out, re-listen to this interview, love, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Love, like, share, and subscribe. Okay? Thank you so much, Jill. I appreciate you.
Love you, girl. Everything you do.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye,
Talk to you.
brains.
Bye. Bye, brains.